Welcome to South Dakota Parent Connections, what parents need to know about IEPs and 504s. If your child has been evaluated or reevaluated and is identified as a child in need of special education services, an individualized education program, IEP, will be developed. The IEP is a written document that describes the special education and related services to be provided to the student. Special education is specially designed instruction at no cost to the parents to meet the unique needs of a child with a disability. A team of qualified professionals and the parent determine the need for special education and related services. Parents must be given a copy of the evaluation report and eligibility determination. And a child cannot be determined to have a disability based on a lack of appropriate instruction in reading, lack of instruction in math, or limited English proficiency. When it has been determined that your child qualifies for special education, there will be an IEP team. The team consists of the parent, regular education teacher, special education teacher, a school representative, a person who can interpret evaluation results, any others with knowledge or expertise, and also the child when appropriate. The people who participated in the development of your child's IEP will also be listed on the IEP. The parent's signature does not indicate your agreement with the IEP, only that you participated in the development of the IEP. Some things you need to consider when writing the IEP are the child's strengths and the concerns that you have for their education, results of initial and most recent evaluation, and the child's academic, developmental, and functional needs. The IEP should contain written statements of the present levels of academic achievement, and this describes your child's current education level. It should state how your child's disability affects his or her progress in the general education curriculum, and for preschool children, how the disability affects your child's participation in appropriate activities. The IEP should also contain measurable annual goals, including academic and functional goals to be met, how progress will be measured, when reports of progress will be issued, special education and related services and other supports and services, the extent that the child will not participate with non-disabled children in regular classes or activities, and any individual accommodations needed to measure academic achievement and functional performance on state and district-wide assessments. And also the date, services, and modifications will begin, their frequency, location, and duration. As an IEP team member, you have the opportunity to talk with school personnel and to make joint decisions about your child's education needs and goals. IDEA makes it clear that parents are equal partners in the IEP process. Parents assist by identifying and stating their child's strengths and needs, as well as selecting appropriate services and placement. The local district is responsible for developing an IEP that meets the requirement of IDEA's state regulations. Some ways that you can prepare for the IEP meeting includes checking the IEP notice. You want to see who will be there, and notify the school also if you are bringing someone with you. And you want to notify the school as soon as possible if you cannot attend and need to reschedule. You will want to review what must be contained in the IEP and then think about how that affects your child, and then gather any kind of information that will be helpful. In the time before the IEP meeting, watch and record your child's behaviors at home. You're going to want to write down what your child can and cannot do, their likes and dislikes, and also interactions with other children and family members. And before the meeting, talk to your child and find out their feelings regarding home and school and friends. And then also keep records of your child's work, parent conferences, and any progress reports that they have. So in review, just ask for and review evaluation data, know who will be at the meeting, gather information to share that could be medical, psychological, and any other assessments. Write down your questions, write down your priorities, and then let somebody know if the meeting does not work for you. Special education services for a child should be based on data, not opinion, and evaluation data provides the basis for providing increasing, decreasing, or discontinuing special ed services. So evaluation data is also used to determine the child's placement and the goals and objectives or benchmarks that will form the basis for instruction. One of the most useful questions that you can ask when you have questions or concerns about recommendations made for your child's program is, where's the data? Any instructional recommendations, proposals to increase or decrease services, proposed placement in an alternative setting, etc., should be supported by data that establishes the need. Some questions that you may want to ask during the IEP meeting could be, what do the tests and observations show about my child? In which classes or activities will my child be with non-disabled children of his or her own age? What goals are realistic for my child? How will my child's progress be measured and reported to me? How can I help at home with my child's education program? And is my child ready to participate in the development of his or her IEP? It is required that the IEP be reviewed once a year, and that will be to determine if annual goals are being met. But what do you do if you think changes are needed in the IEP before the IEP review? Well, if you think there's changes that are needed in your education program for your child, you can contact the school personnel and request an IEP meeting at any time. Or your school may actually contact you during the year if they think changes may be needed to your child's education program. Section 504 is another way that your child may qualify for special services. Section 504 is part of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 that applies to persons with disabilities, and it is a civil rights statute aimed at discrimination. It was implemented by Congress in 1977. At that time, Congress required school districts to make their programs and activities accessible and usable to all individuals with disabilities. It was actually the first Civil Rights Act for individuals with disabilities, and Section 504 applies not only to the students but also to the parents and employees at the school. Some main differences that you see between Section 504 and special education. Section 504 is a Civil Rights Act, and the Office for Civil Rights enforces it, whereas Special Education is an Education Act, and the Office of Special Ed enforces it. Section 504 uses only local funding, where Special Ed uses state, federal, and local funding. And with Section 504, all disabilities apply, where with Special Education there is a category of eligible disabilities. With both of them, though, however, parents should be involved in all team meetings, notice of consent is required, and evaluations are necessary. Section 504 requires that a school evaluate any person who, because of a disability, needs or is believed to need special education or related services. An evaluation is required prior to any significant change in placement, and most evaluations only involve gathering tests that have already been conducted, such as medical records. Data should be reviewed at least annually to determine if there is a current need or if the needs need to be updated. When making Section 504 accommodations, the goal is to place the student with a disability at an equal starting level with his or her peers. Accommodations are usually made by the classroom teacher and other school staff just to help the student benefit from their education program. And a plan should be developed outlining the services and accommodations, and the plan must be individualized. Examples of common accommodations include providing an extra set of textbooks for home, adjusting a student's seating, using study guides and organizational tools, providing counseling, modifying recess, PE, or transportation, allowing extra time for a test, use of study carrels and/or headphones. Some accommodations that you can make for students with special health care needs include provide the student with a private location and time to perform procedures, involve the school nurse, teachers, and staff, allow preferential seating, modify recess or physical education or transportation. It's important to develop a health care and emergency plan, provide a paging system for trained personnel, and arrange for trained personnel on field trips. Many times you will have students who are temporarily disabled. For them, you want to provide duplicate sets of textbooks, provide assignments to the hospital school, provide homebound instruction, perhaps tape your lessons so that the child can listen, schedule periodic homeschool meetings, let them have access to the elevators, allow shortened days, or arrange for a friend to assist the student in getting from class to class. There are many ways we can help our students, and if you have questions about IEPs or 504 plans, please contact us at either office or through our email. And if you want to learn more about your rights as a parent, please feel free to request our Procedural Safeguards Workshop.